His Doom is probably going to be hotly contested for first pick, but Tongfu, they're going to elect to remove it from the pool.
Yeah, no longer contested, but you still got yourself quite a wide array of selections, and we'll see what Tongfu actually want to grab. I'm kind of hoping that Newbee bust out something just a little bit different. Not draw range are different, but something different nonetheless, as they were previously dropped down to the lower bracket by Tongfu. It was a close series, not the cleanest play from both sides, but Newbee definitely, especially with the momentum after their victory, will be able to take this. At least it's possible for them to take it. We'll see what picks they actually want to make. But as you said, grand finals, Tongfu, Newbee. I'm not too surprised that these two teams are actually here. Although I would have liked to see Newbee Young make a little bit more of a run. That just seems like that's not in the cards.
Yeah, I mean they got really hot in the group stage, and unfortunately weren't able to carry it through the playoffs as much, just winning the one series. So unfortunate for them for their run, but either way, Enchantress going to be the first pick from Tongfu, and they have to deny that up from Chuan. Newbee would be more than content to be able to pick that up in their first phase, and removing the Doom here from KPI is going to open that up. So. They'll be able to pick it up. Chuan will go back for his Lion though here, and Sven gonna be actually first phase for Newbee for How.
We've seen Sven's overperform pretty consistently in this tournament. The armor also is going to make him rather immune to Enchantress ganks. You could still get with a Shockwave, but usually Enchantress is all those right clicks in between her creeps and herself and some other heroes coming in as well. So once you pop that War Cry, it can be real difficult to actually make that happen. So I don't mind this too much. This Sven is definitely going to give away maybe a little bit more than Newbee would really like as far as the game plan for their draft. It looks like it's just going to be a Sven Lion lane so far, at least. So usually it's going to be a little more preferable to grab something along the lines of Invoker, who's still in the pool, by the way.
Right.
Just to have that mid lane dominance, but Sven is, I think, perfectly reasonable, and together with Lion can actually decently pressure this Beastmaster off lane.
Yeah, I was going to go towards that route in saying that this may be the first game in a long while we don't see Invoker at all for either side, and Tongfu contemplating right now whether they want to remove that from the pool. Taking the Death Prophet out themselves is going to mean that more than likely the Invoker is going to have a good matchup in the mid lane. Newbee has the next pick, so if they don't ban the Invoker here, they only really have a PL, perhaps something like a Viper, which is not something that's all that commonly been picked up to deal with the Invoker. And if they pick the PL, they're picking it into a great cleave, so they will opt to ban that out, and it seemed to be a wise choice here for Tongfu. We'll see what Newbee's next pickup is, and likely, since the scarcity of mid laners left in the pool, it probably should be towards their mid this next pick.
I mean, they get the luxury of the first pick after this ban phase. OD is a hero that we actually haven't seen all that much compared to some of the other regions, which is a little bit interesting. I guess when Invoker is always available to you, you pick Invoker because he's just that good. But I wouldn't be surprised to see an OD. Tongfu with the Beastmaster and Enchantress opening. Would have loved to grab the Death Prophet-esque hero, like a mid lane that can offer a little momentum towards those tower pushes. It's still never too late to get a hero that can do that, throw him towards the mid lane, but at the same time, they are working with the Beastmaster that lends itself to quite a nice ganking style. You could very easily grab a Zeus or something along those lines for your mid lane if you're Tongfu, and try to play the global map game. But I mean, OD's in the pool. OD's the last out of the really big three mid laners. Doesn't have to worry about an Earth Spirit nor a Bounty Hunter coming into his lane. Just an Enchantress, and that's something that OD can handle. So it seems like it's the pretty easy to make pick here for Newbee.
Yeah, it also opens up the possibility for an Oracle pick for them as well on top of the Beastmaster, and there's a lot of disable here. When your one position has a disable available to them, you're already in general going to be plentiful in that department, so a lot of disable around the OD is always going to be nice. Not only that, he's going to be able to nuke down these summons from Tongfu's side pretty quickly with the Arcane Orb, extra damage. So I really like the OD pickup for Newbee, despite it not being considered, apparently considered as strong in the Eastern scene. He hasn't made it through to all that many drafts, and it's not because he's been banned. It's essentially because he's ignored entirely. So Newbee will have to pick that up here for Mu in the mid lane, and this is probably one of the greatest combos you can put aside from an OD. Everyone talks about OD Omni, OD Oracle, but OD Void is crazy good. If the Void is even able to get minimally significant.
And given how now up against Lone Druid and Juggernaut Beastmasters, the 3 cores, Chronosphere is not going to be the most difficult spell to land. It's a lot more difficult when your targets are, Invokers and ODs and Clinks and Wind Ranger, those range heroes who make the Chronosphere placement just a little bit harder. In Lone Druid range sometimes, granted, but if you do land any sort of decent Chronosphere, then OD, of course, is going to be dropping some serious hammer blows. But for Tongfu, they grab the Lone Druid, and their 3 cores, I would assume, are showing right now. Juggernaut, not really the best time versus OD. Lone Druid definitely has a much better time. In fact, used to be a pickup directly in response to the old OD, because you can all of Lone Druid's intelligence and he doesn't really care because the bear is doing the heavy lifting in lane. So it seems like the mid lane for Tongfu, despite being kind of non-traditional, should still be very safe. But all that being said, Newbee, with the power of Lion and Sven to lean on, that's going to, of course, clear them to grab the Phoenix. Kind of surprising in that last box, but man, you have Phoenix with Faceless Void. That is also a hell of a lot of damage.
Yeah, beautiful draft from Kaka overall. Feels like they got almost exactly what they wanted. I mean, you have a couple of heroes that scale really well from Tongfu's side, but they're still heavily reliant on their physical damage, and Sven is not all that worried about that. OD, he has so much support behind him. He can imprison himself, he can get Sunray, there's a Chrono to cover him, there's a set of Lion disables, and even a Stormbolt. So this feels like a really, really game for Newbee. Overall, their draft seems pretty damn synergistic, and feels like they can definitely get a lot done. This is not to say that Tongfu has a bad lineup by any stretch, but it just feels like Newbee, they've assembled kind of exactly what they set out to in this draft. And as you mentioned, the Phoenix coming out in the 5th slot is rare, to say the very least, Kaka, and he's one of the players that we've seen really ball out on this hero in the support role.
Lei being the other one, Newbee from Newbee Young is quite the monster on that hero. But I mean, as Phoenix is being picked more and more, people are going to show off their skills more and more, obviously, and we're going to see it one more time here from Newbee. The last pick from Tongfu, though, is going to be that Bane. So I was going to say, like, between Lone Druid, Beastmaster, and Juggernaut, these 3 cores really prone to just pushing super aggressively, because you get the bear, obviously, with the Demolish, does some pretty decent damage there. Beastmaster and Enchantress lending to the Zoo, and Juggernaut with the sustain. Bane is not exactly going to be one of those really heavy pushing supports, so just getting a little bit of single target lockdown. As far as heroes versus Chronosphere, Vengeful Spirit is the best, though was banned out by Newbee. Bane is not too bad either, as long as he doesn't get caught by the Chrono. Being able to enfeeble the Faceless Void makes him entirely irrelevant. Then you can try to position yourself around that, try to get a Nightmare, a Grip onto the heroes that are trying to put damage into that Chrono. So I think as far as anti-Newbee tech is concerned, Bane is really well positioned, especially versus the Sven, who going to run into some problems once he's trying to charge in. You can't charge in onto a Bane easily.
I feel like the grip can be considerably invaluable here for the Tongfu side, but there is a lot to cancel it. There's even defensive natured spells here in the imprison on the grip target for Newbee's side. So to some extent, I don't know how well the Bane will succeed. On paper, he looks very good for sure, and it helps the lanes out definitely, which allows them to have a little bit more of a greedy stance from the Enchantress. We saw Chuan kind of rotate around, and we saw a couple of Enchantress rotate around and starve themselves a bit early on. With the Bane pickup, I feel like this allows the Enchantress to kind of designate herself, take a couple of levels in the first before she looks to roam around. So in that sense, I really do like the pick, but I'm not sure later into the team fights how influential may be. Certainly the potential is very real, and Tongfu, they are going to have to be creating space and finding pickoffs in order for Lin to farm up on his Lone Druid, but he is going to take that towards the mid lane, so already off the bat should have a good semblance of farm going into that early mid game.
And he will maybe get a little bit of help from the Enchantress. Wasn't split out, I believe, by any Newbee heroes. Although Newbee can probably reasonably expect Enchantress ganks early on, she is going to load out with a smoke first, and it is kind of difficult to gank an OD with an Enchantress, especially when the hero that you're trying to gank with is a lone druid. Once you get entangled, it gets a hell of a lot easier. You can just wait for one of those, and then you can make the jump in. But for LPC, going down towards bottom lane, also kind of difficult versus Faceless Void, so this Enchantress may run into some issues. They're going to try to go for the Void, at least make KP's life a little bit difficult. Just taking so many right clicks, trying to bait out to that time walk, and seeing as how far Void was down in the lane, that would have cost him quite a bit. He is going to time walk out, but man, Salve being forced out by nothing but right clicks. Pretty decent value for the Tongfu save lane, just as a little bit of a fast start for them.
Bane, a hero that can definitely do that with great base move speed, good base right click, and BAT as well. So AP maybe not as comfortable on this hero as perhaps, but it's definitely gonna get zoned a little bit heavily out of lane here, and he'll be fine to soak experience. Although he's got a couple sets of tangos. Although the interest rotations in, as mentioned, are going to be to some extent threatening, but if he holds the time walk, should be just fine. Nightmare into net, perhaps War Stomp. They're able to bring him down underneath the Blade Fury, but it's very hard pressed. Tule should find quite a bit, and over on the other side, it was like he's going to have a fairly rough time. I mean, they'll have a Phoenix early on, and there are some rotations now coming in from LPC, but Faith is definitely killable with Lion and a Sven alone in this lane. Shockwave gonna fly out Kaka, getting a bit low. LPC already making his presence known in this top lane and exploiting the early level weaknesses of this Phoenix. But now he's gonna look to split up a bit of experience here with Faith and put some pressure into How. On the other side of the map, the Juggernaut not being pressured at all for U9.
Same time, KP is CSing really, really well, having to also deal with this Bane's harassment. 10 CS and the Faceless Void is even with the Juggernaut and not too far behind his friendly Sven. And Sven at this point, not really easy to gank for LPC, so that's just not a target for Tong to aim towards. Chuan and Kaka, definitely a different story there, but you actually have to catch up to them. And first of all, for the Enchantress, that involves pretty much having to get a troll creep, or for one of these heroes to get really stupid. Kaka's taking a couple shots. It's actually going to Icarus dive. Now Enchantress has an angle to go in. Oh, that was not a good cast by this Phoenix. In fact, is going to get speared to death, I think, for an LPC, but no, he's going to draw tower aggro, and now How with the stun is going to draw first blood. Phoenix not dead yet, although I think the Centaur and the Shockwave, they will be able to kill off the bird. That was incredibly bold from this Phoenix, but I'm going to say it was a bait. Lin, in the meantime, is running away from Mu and Chuan. One more shot's going to do it. Oh, actually, Mu runs out of mana, and then Lin with the salve is going to live. Oh my, that was very close for the lone druid, but he is able to dodge death, but still it's first blood drawn by Sven in this top lane.
Yeah, nicely played there. A little bit unfortunate with the tower aggro, but he did right click into Kaka there, so drawing that for the Enchantress, and well, not going to be all that effective there either way. Yeah, didn't even have it skilled up, I should say. Early on for LPC, so early rotation perhaps hurting his farm potential a slight bit. Either way. Get a kill on the Phoenix. Faith, he's going to be slightly under-leveled by virtue of that Enchantress presence, but still looking at a decently timed level 6, and Primal War can definitely get some work done, especially versus some of these squishier targets early on, namely the Phoenix.
For right now, for Tongfu, it's kind of okay that they're not dominating all their lanes. U9's getting a perfectly reasonable amount of farm, and as long as the Beastmaster keeps getting experience, as he is right now, actually fairly high level, level 4.5, 4 minutes in, then it's really into that mid game where they're going to start to make those timing plays. Get the Enchantress a creep or two. If you can get to level 6, great. If not, it's not really a terribly huge deal, and start pushing down towers, and they have the luxury of choosing whether or not to add Lone Druid into that mix. Like, he will have Demolish, so he will be doing a lot of damage, but if you want him to farm for his Relic, I mean, you can do that also, and it won't really too bad. They're going to drop KP down super low on this bottom lane. Can Kabu grab this kill by himself? He has a Nightmare. He has a Brain Sap, and that does 160. I don't think it's quite going to do it. Yeah, he had to cast it immediately with a right click, and Faceless Void is going to barely escape death in this bottom lane.
KP soaking up experience decently, not quite on parity with Faith, just a little bit behind, especially having to rotate back a base, but still doing an admirable job in this bot lane. against a pretty scary combo, as well as a very good zoning support. Speaking of which, Chuan gonna rotate in, get both of his disables off. Faith in a lot of trouble here top lane, and good with the move speed though, having those boots up. Unable to chase him down, and Beastmaster with that high base armor, able to withstand the pressure, and a little bit of overlapping the Hex and the Stormbolt from that duo of Chuan and Hao.
Kaka also handling a pull is going to be nowhere in the area to actually help out. If the Phoenix was there, just an Icarus dive would have gotten that kill. Level 2 Sunray definitely would have gotten that kill. It's going to be Beastmaster to survive, and Beastmaster is a pretty big problem here, honestly, for the Newbee side. Just because he's getting so much experience, so not a lot of gold going into the Beastmaster's pockets, but once the roar comes up, Newbee have to be a little bit careful with the heroes that they choose to commit into certain fights. But as it stands, a little bit of a slow start right now. Enchantress has been jungling pretty quietly for the most part, but looks like they're going to have another crack at Faith up towards top lane. Chuan, not any more powerful with his nuking. He is still going to find Faith, and this time the Sunray is there. They're going to get the Hex, and with the right clicks, Faith is dead. Nicely cooked at that. He's going to come from behind as Chuan's going to try to leave. Savage Roar is going to cancel that right into the bear. Now Chuan's going to be beaten down. Nightmare onto the Phoenix, who has no skills, is completely screwed here. Just a couple more right clicks and Vayne will grab the kill. At Newbee, they lose their 2 supports, but trade them for the Beastmaster. It's not as bad as it really looks because they got the Beastmaster and they only lose supports.
Yeah, they only lose supports. Kaka apparently did not gain experience though from that kill, which is a little bit unfortunate for Newbee's side. But either way, Faith is still postured to do what he needs to in this early game. He'll pick up that Primal Roar here fairly soon. One thing about this Tongfu lineup with the Primal Roar is that they're generally going to have to group around it with multiple heroes. They don't really have anything to contribute from long range or globally, as most Master lineups do, but they do have this Enchantress and a Juggernaut, so definitely can queue up the push. Sunray though from Kaka will eliminate some of these creeps bottom lane, and for now that is going to dissuade Tongfu from continuing to press forward. They do have a lane coming through, but these siege creeps will be brought down in time. So KP will have his comrade come and deter the push bot lane, and Mu, with the rotation over from Lin there, has had free farm in this mid lane essentially. On 32 CS, he's got an Arcane Rune as well. His Sanity's Eclipse is up. Any rotation comes in, he'll be itching to use that Arcane Rune and drop the first hammer, try and find himself a kill.
And that kind of half push or failed push, whatever you want to call it, on the bottom lane for Tongfu is actually going to be pretty costly because KP gets all of those creeps worth of experience. A couple of Enchantress creeps dying there as well. At least I would assume so. Wasn't really paying super close attention, but usually they die. So the KP is now at level 6, and so Chronosphere is up at around the same time as Roar, and it's going to be a question as to who's going to be more assertive over towards mid lane. Mu is going to get caught out, although the Centaurs are not able to get in range in time. The Nightmare simply runs its course, and Mu is able to wake up and walk away up towards top lane now. Fate may not have that same luxury. He's next up this time. How with the God Strength, he's going to have damage to kill him off with the help of Chuan. Lin's going to charge right in, need the first hit entangle, but with the Spike, he's not even going to get a right click off. And for Newbee, they will kill off the Beastmaster, and Sven is going to go ahead and grab an Armlet. This is the same build that we saw from Sven a little bit earlier, going up against the Drow Ranger. And I think at that point, it's perfectly defendable to go for this item. This time, it's reasonable as well, although it seems like Newbee want to be a little more aggressive. Otherwise, there's no reason to get an Armlet.
I mean, yeah, with your... You get rooted up, you're probably gonna fall, I feel, even with God's Strength up. So I think it's a bit more risky. Sure, Hao definitely is looking to fight early, and that seems to be kind of the purpose of this. But lane, they do use the Roar. They'll get KP in the meantime on the Void, and that'll be nice for them to net a kill off that first Roar. Like Omni Slash was used as well. U9, and as mentioned, they are going to have to bring multiple heroes in close proximity to their Roar target in order to bring him down. KP, he has a Chronosphere, he's going to TP into the bot lane, and once again, as you mentioned, going to get quite a good influx of experience with all these units under the tower. He'll be able to stifle the push as well, so that'll be nice for him, although with Roar down and Omni Slash on the sidelines, Kaka going to rotate through alongside his mid laner, and they are going to run into Faith. He's going to be in a perfect position to pop the smoke, however. For now, that attempt will be thwarted, and Tongfu will return to farming.
Tongfu are farming pretty darn well. Lone Druid, especially Handamitis, came up at around 7 minutes in, and he actually hasn't even maxed out the bear. He's going to just go for a rabbit instead. Try to get a little bit more damage, a little more mobility between those camps. Not sure if that's actually faster for farming, but I mean, I'm going to assume it's optimized. I'm not going to second guess the Lone Druid mid. But over towards the bottom lane now, Moo and KP, they're teaming up, looking for U9. What they don't know is that Faith is literally right around the corner, and he's got another roar. He's got Kabu here, and Moo's going to get gripped with the spin there as well. He may get some frozen support. No, KP's just going to bail on him. Just going to say, see ya, OD, and is going to leave him for dead. Bane's going to grab that kill. It's going to be Tongfu with a slightly better rotation right after the Newbee heroes. They will lose the bear over in the mid lane, but still killing off OD. Only using the grip for that, not roar, not omni slash. Pretty sweet. That means they have the roar for KP right now with the brain stab. Face is going to time walk, not gonna get it, and they'll take the tower. That's a big gain for the Tongfu bottom lane.
Wise decision from KP not to Chronosphere there, because he would have had to contain OD in it. He would have done no damage. He wouldn't have canceled the grip, and he would have got roared thereafter. But a little less so wise of a decision to stick around. And then yeah, immediately as both come available, Faith will use 2 roars, involved in all six of Tongfu's 6 kills thus far. They're going to look to pressure this bottom lane tower. Move wants to use that arcane rune and the ultimate, but Tongfu will be able to extract themselves out of this bottom lane, and they're creating more than enough space for Lin to continue away farming. He's sitting second overall on the north. Kind of the one thing that they haven't dealt with from the Tongfu side is Hao's Ven, but at this point he's gone for an armor. He will farm up double stack of Ancients here with the God Strength and continue to get a little bit more scary. Wouldn't be all that surprised to see him pick up a Blink here, but they have a lot of ways to deal with the Blink initiation from Hao, so probably something like an S and Y would be a little bit of a safer build, a little bit less risky. And Chuan, he's going to smoke up the Finger of Death. He usually does. It's a little bit later than he's picked it up. Here, more often will look to get active earlier, but with Moo's death a moment ago, it seems to have delayed his timing out. They'll try and enter into this mid lane tower, AP and Moo, and look to bait someone into defending it. Will turn, he's got Primal Roar available. He'll throw out the Hawk though. For that reason, it'll be difficult for Newbee to get a completely blocked jump here on the Radiant side.
They're not even super fast at pushing either, so yeah, there's a tier 1 tower, but the random board here is going to pull up the creep wave, forcing Hao to tank it. With the armor and the war cry, he's not going to take that much damage from it. They also have Sunray to heal if need be, but the tower is going to be fortified. In the meantime, top lane shoved in really hard by Tongfu, who are pretty much across the board, except for the Bane, really adept at pushing, not even with the Beastmaster in the area. The smoke probably isn't going to find... Oh, well, maybe it will. Where Hao actually wants to go. Sven is going to run into not the creeps nor the smoke. He's going to be fine, but now the crackback is here in the mid lane, and we have KP still not quite in position. Chuan and Kaka are revealed right now. No one else from Tongfu has a Blink Dagger or anything similar, so they can't punish this below half HP Phoenix, yet still they're able to just constantly push in, and again, they have the luxury of choosing what to use their Lone Druid for, and seems like they're choosing Battering Ram for right now, but they don't even have to do that right now. They're just fine.
Yeah, they're on the way, well on the way to Relic here for Lin, and they'll look to back off. They don't want to spend all that much time convened as a unit and wasting time that they could be potentially farming, but they forced Newbee to do the same, at least for that last engagement. So they've really not lost much. Hao farms up about just a wave of top in the meantime, and I mean, Newbee have assembled such a good team fight lineup, and yet they really yet to find a great Chronosphere thus far. A move kind of snowball on this OD. They will take advantage of one of the benefits of having this OD, and please take Roshan. Faith, they'll be in trouble with the bot lane, but they are TPing into support. Chronosphere isn't going to be vended. It will not. Sunray to their cup. Right-click Finger of Death. That'll scare the death on Faith, and this should open the window for Roche for the Dire side. So certain nice couple of house stances for them there, but it doesn't look like Tongfu are all that willing just yet to give this up. Radiant do have vision of Kaka on the low ground. Roll will come through. Sunray gonna heal them up. Net is gonna be there onto Kaka. LPC with the impetus strikes. They'll make it up into the fog as it is nighttime. LPC had a chance to kill him off. Now dive forward from Kaka. He's gonna supernova. They're gonna be able to right click it from the high ground though. But the Chronosphere will do it. Will connect for sure. Beautifully played by KP. Now U9, he's gonna drop Savage Roar. Will keep him back enough to do an Omnisage, but it's only level 1. Impetus Strike will finish off Phoenix as he dies, making it amplify the damage. Hal though, he's been roared up. He's in trouble. Gets the armlet off. Stormbolt is there as well. Impetus though, there in a moment, the root kills him off. When all is said and done, gonna be a Sven and a Phoenix for a Jug Bane. Chronosphere Supernova expended. And Roshan is still standing.
Pretty much perfectly even gold trade there, and the targets that died rather even as well. However, the relevant part about that fight was that Supernova and Chronosphere are now down. Bane didn't use his grip. He had to use the Omni Slash, he had to use the Roar, but the cooldown's a little bit more friendly for the Tongfu side, and they were able to stall out a Roche attempt. And now Face is able to actually get into position to constantly throw out those birds. LPC, same thing with his random creeps, and now they're looking for a little bit of a siege. Kabu has a very, very early Etherlink. So this is spotted, of course, by Newbee. The initiation range of this game may be a surprise that the Phoenix is going to loop around. That'll show him. Gonna force everyone back. The tower is not in deny range, actually. 5 HP off. It looks like deniable, but no, not quite. So yeah, Tongfu aren't gonna get anything objective-wise, but denying the objective to Newbee is perhaps just as relevant, since they now do have the relic on the lone druid, who before the relic isn't really gonna be super keen on fight.
Yeah, and another factor to mention in that bot lane engagement is that Lin picks up one of the kills, so despite it being relatively even in terms of gold, he gets his full relic off of it, and that towards the Radiance that isn't all that far away. So Tongfu definitely feel like they're in a good position right now. At this point in the game, you don't really expect Lin to be this far forward in terms of his farming. He's 2-0-2 on the lone druid, narrowly escaping death there early on in the mid lane. Really seemed to catapult him forward, and Propulsion in terms of farming is looking impressive at this point. They've really only used a couple of Chronospheres thus far for Newbee, and they really want to be able to fight around it. They found decent farm on all of their cores, but I feel like Muku hasn't been able to take full advantage of this Chronosphere on his side. Golem thrown in to the pit, and the OD will now have an extra life, so perhaps can look to find himself a couple of kills going forward. Only involved in 3 of the 6 kills thus far for his side this game, and he's going to look to mitigate that shortcoming. Pops up an invisibility rune. U9 and Kabu playing very safe though in this bottom lane.
One just grabbed a blink dagger in the side shop, so it's completely hidden. And U9, even though he does have Blade Fury, does have backup. Blank Hex with everyone collapsing on you is going to kill you mighty quick. Speaking of being killed quick, Faith on the Chronosphere is going to slow roast. Moo walks into it. I think he got one shot off and then moved in a little bit, but either way, Beastmaster down. He's going to dive in, carpet bomb the air, now goes Supernova. The Bear's only attacking. That's not going to do jack. And they will move the line in the background to the Omni Slash. Supernova is going to go off. KP caught with the grip. It is going to take a spill here. No help here from his allies. Now Moo taking spears in the back is going to die, loses Aegis. How is going to back off. Godship is already used, but he doesn't want any part of this. Can they get out with this OD? Probably not. He's completely surrounded, now rooted down. That's going to be a 1-for-3 trade. Tongfu absolutely massacre Newbee in this bottom lane, as they were able to very quickly deal with the line without him casting anything.
Felt like a slight, like Moo doesn't play this hero often, and he's a very good mid laner, but it felt like a slight misplay on the Enchantress. He imprisoned the Enchantress because she was right-clicking away into him, and it saved her from the Supernova stun. If he had imprisoned himself, the Enchantress would have had no choice but to run away from the egg, and therefore he probably would have survived. Then he loses the Aegis, and he's completely isolated out. So, I don't know, it felt a little odd. It's not like he got right-clicks off onto anyone else, and then when she came out of the prison and was not stunned by the Supernova, he wasn't able to right-click into her because she had the untouchable. So, yeah, in the meantime, they'll use Aurora top lane, and we'll find the Kaka kill, which is gonna be a nice little influx of gold. And Lin, yeah, he's got that Radiance up here around that 20-minute mark, so definitely looking solid sitting atop the net worth chart just above the Sven, and push is very scary coming out from Tongfu when they're assembled as 5 now with this Radiance.
And this is Lone Druid being neck and neck with Sven, who's top like 4 or 5 at least activations. Of course, Tower Gold factoring in there as well, but Sven killed off Roach with his team, so this Lone Druid is actually doing a remarkable job with the Hanamitis Radiance that's keeping in the farm game. Only 100 behind, and that's completely negligible, but with this pushing power, time to go up the top lane. How is going to try to bring down the bottom tower, and with the God Strength, that will be very easily done. Newbee, they have a Chronosphere, they have a Supernova, they are pretty much as ready to fight as they can possibly be, but really for Tongfu, they don't really have to commit all that much. They have the Healing Ward for the Spirit Bear, and Talk actually kills the melee Nectar Warrior. Dive out of there without getting punished. Ooh, that hurt a lot. Tower is going to take quite a bit of damage. He's going to start popping hammer to the Spirit Bear. KP can land a Chronosphere, but immediately is stripped out, and he's not doing any damage here. Wu9, he's taking all the Focus Fire though, can't Omnislash, runs out of mana, will fall. Supernova is going to pop in the background, which will kill off the bear in the end. Then's going to grab another one immediately, faces Void for Juggernaut is the trade. There is a grip down the tubes, Eclipse, Supernova, all down. Close the finger. I don't know if Tongfu will feel comfortable moving forward with this any longer. If Juggernaut was to live, you could bet they would be knocking down these towers, but Newbee defend just well enough.
Yeah, just not enough damage left for Tongfu to keep pressing forward. With all those cooldowns on the sideline, they definitely would want to look to, but without the Juggernaut available to them, they just don't siege all that well, and with only 1 bear left, certainly wise for them to back off as well as they are doing. They could force out a lot of cooldowns here, and I mean, there's no immediate objective for them to obtain because of that or exploit, but their Juggernaut will be responding here, and there's a potential for a smoke grip, a pretty low cooldown here. Could look to utilize it here shortly, but Move, it feels like he's recovered pretty well on the OD after these last couple of fights. 2, 2, and 3 now after being 1, 1, and 2. So involved in 3 more kills to his 1 death. He's got the booster up and enough for 2 Staves of Wizardry. He's going to go towards that Rod of Atos, which will certainly ramp up his solo kill potential and also help him just in general with the right click into the Chronosphere. Kabu could be running into the OD here. Jump forward from Chuan. Drum Charge is going to be popped as well. He'll get the Hex off in time. Earthspike is going to follow Faith though. He rotates in. He'll roll up to a significant turning Mu. The Omnislash is there in time. There's no imprison for Mu, and now Chuan, he's left for dead. Impetus finishes him off. And a perfect response coming out from Tongfu. Perhaps a little bit far to chase across the river for that tandem of heroes, and they'll pay dearly here. Tongfu punishing them, and maybe now looking to eliminate this tier 2 from the map.
Getting caught was part of Bane's plan, it seems, and Newbee will now probably lose their mid lane tower for sure. Sean's not going to be responding anything soon right now, but they do have BKB on half. So in theory, this then with the cover of Chronosphere and Supernova, will be able to just go off, but also has to kind of roll the dice. You are facing up against Omnislash, you're facing up against Roar, and Integral, like all these things will cut through and make your BKB life kind of difficult with this Sven, but he's gonna have to rely on his out. KP is gonna get gripped one more time. Just for like old times, KP is gonna die in a flurry of sword strikes from U9 Spin. With the top lane being shoved in by the Radiance Bear, they're just gonna slide right up there. Face Boy does have a buyback, and he really doesn't want to use it right now, but I'm not really sure if he can get much of a choice. Spirit Bear is gonna get stunned up, and with the spray, they will obliterate it. Another bear is enforced out by Lin, and that may just be a cooldown that he does not want to give up, so they will fall back. What they can very easily do, Tongfu, is just keep, as a 5-man squad, rotate down towards the bottom lane, because this tier 2 tower is mostly dead already.
Yeah, it's fortunate for Newbee that their Void is going to respawn here naturally. They really didn't want to expend their Chronosphere, and had they not ganked there that quickly, they probably would have had to. But Tongfu, they're not too willing to extend because no Roshan, he'll be up here sometime very soon. So they'll rotate out of this top lane, keep themselves safe for now. They drop a little bit of deep intel as well for them to see. Gonna go to this top lane, and they're dead. In the meantime, Spear's gonna get brought down. The 5-man has no support inbound this time for Tongfu. Lin, he doesn't have that cooldown up for another 60 seconds, and Roche, he'll be spawning in just about that time if it's near the minimum, so it'll be okay for Tongfu, but a nice little influx of gold going in the way of Newbee. They will find something on the exit from their base. Radovitos is going to be completed up for Moo and the Blink Dagger. Now up for Hao, so about Blink Dagger being potentially risky before, but now with the BKB to back him, now feeling more than safe to jump forward with that initiation power.
Well, still for a Newbee, they can breathe easy for just a little bit longer. I don't know how keen they are to this cooldown of the Spirit Bear, but 30-second window and they're smoked up and ready to go. Actually perfect timing from the Newbee side. Hasterun is going to be seen by a couple boars, so no one from Newbee really going to want to grab that one and blow their smoke right now, but Tongfu still acting as if they know exactly what's going on. They do have a pretty deep Radiant ward in the Dire jungle. I'm not sure if that saw the smoke. There's a chance that was the case. Given their movement, I would say they probably did see it, though it doesn't matter in the end. What matters is that they're not going to get picked off by it. So Newbee playing correctly to try to get into that Spirit cooldown, but it is going to come back alive. And with the Radiance back online, Newbee are still actually going to go for this aggressive play. KP is probably going to be spotted out by a bear or a hawk or something, but the bear's actually getting hacked one more time. Can they bring it down? Sunrise going to do quite a bit of damage to the roar. Goes on to KP, and How's going to jump right with the God Strength. Face going to die. It's a manner of shots. Now Supernova is going to go over the Chrono Sphere on step 3. How's not able to right click, but doesn't even matter. They're on top of and Limb at the exact same time. They're going to cleave through everyone now. It's a 4 kill for Newbee as How's going to grab every single one. What a massacre from Newbee as the team fight goes off. Textbook team fight from Newbee, and they're going to get 1 tower, they're going to get 2 towers, they're going to try to bust up high ground. They have a really big window. There's another 75 seconds where Lone Druid is without his bear.
And just perfect play. I mean, it's just so nice to see these pros adapt. I mentioned maybe Moon a little bit rusty on the OD. In this fight, he does exactly what he should have done in the bottom fight. He turns himself with the Phoenix Egg, kicking away, and Hero runs to the west, away from him for that reason, and away from the egg, and into a 3-man chrono from KP. That's going to net them an easy lane of racks in the mid, and talk about breathe easy. There's a Roshan available as well. 20 seconds on the sideline for this Lone Druid. If they get themselves over quickly with an OD, they have a search chance to bring it down. But regardless if they're able to take that or not, Newbee can be very happy with their win in the mid lane.
4,700 gold on Sven after that. Force Staff pretty much completed with the Blink Dagger, of course, on Chuan. Phoenix at 2k, so it should be towards Shiva's guard for him. Faceless Void, Blink Dagger, OD 3k. They are also 15 seconds without Lone Druid really being effective, but it doesn't seem like Newbee, a beeline for that Roche pit, are actually going to get it, even though I think they probably could have. They're still a racks up 28 minutes in, and I'm sure they weren't expecting to be racks up right now. They're kind of playing for the long haul, but yeah, a racks up is a racks up, and now they're going to probably, at the very least, contest this Roche attempt from Tongfu. Newbee can just stake this one out with all their ultimates at the ready. Just 3 skins until they're all up. For Tongfu, killing off Roche is supposed to be like a staple part of their game plan. They have the bear to tank, they have the damage, they have the auras, but will they have the freedom to do so? Bird is going to fly in, Kaka's going to Observer Ward up. It's not going to help him just yet. Sentry's going to drop. Think they see the Observer Ward? They probably don't, but the Phoenix is going to be spotted by a random Centaur. Just playing it cool. I'm sure he's going to unleash the trap card soon enough. He's going to stomp Phoenix and then do nothing, but here comes Kabu. For the grip, they got Kaka. Can they bring down Phoenix before he goes Supernova? They will be able to. KP jumps in. They can't get the cross grab, but Powell's going to come in now with the BKB turn on and Gotcha. They can't cleave necessarily into the middle. Everything still throws in a hammer. Now he's going to jump right in. 1, 2, 3 shots to get a handful of kills. And Moo's going to come in from the side. Kills off Kabu, looking at the bear. He'll imprison him, and he's going to pop right back out into a pissed off Sven. Lin is going to be the final casualty of Tongfu. Triple kill for Hao. And the doors for Roche are wide open. Well, never mind. Not even needed. GG's call.
The door to the tournament key is wide open here as Newbee are going to take a convincing game 1 off pretty much the back of 1-1 team fight in the mid lane. And beautiful chrono from KPI. They able to defend their high ground successfully twice by pretty much just ganking the bear with everything they had. And Once again, we see Chuan with an 18-minute blink dagger on his Lion, and they're kind of able to sack the early game, as you touched upon in the earlier series today. Newbee don't always have to win these lanes, and the lanes were not going well by any stretch for them early on. And even the one important kill that they wanted to in that mid lane, Lin was able to narrowly escape death, but Newbee, they just have such good resolve. They farm up some ancient stacks on their Sven. Hal once again going for that early fight-oriented armlet build, and ends up paying dividends for them. They have some great Roshan recognition as well, and be able to take this game one very decisively after playing 5 games earlier on in the day. So still showing some sharpness mentally, and they'll go up in a big way in this best of 3 grand final.
I mean, Newbee managed Bear so well. They killed it off in Lone Druid's farm, which is what you see right here, because Bear was always dead.
Yeah, so really well played, and you mentioned it early on. I mean, he kept up with a Sven who had Great Cleave before even having a Radiance. Was remarkable how much farm he had. So Newbee, real good positioning from them, really well played, and great pick, in all honesty. Supernova on top of Chronosphere in 2 fights did a hell of a lot of work, even if the cores weren't able to contribute. So a 1-0 lead in this grand finals. We'll hop into game 2 here shortly on the Summit Hcup 5 and finals.